Lauren and Ethan had been married for 6 years. Their relationship had started like a dream, full of love, passion, and the kind of connection that felt unbreakable. They met in college, bonded over late-night study sessions and shared ambitions, and built a life together that, from the outside, seemed perfect. Ethan was everything a husband should be: loyal, hardworking, and dependable. He had a strong moral compass and believed in commitment, always putting his family first. Lauren had loved that about him. She still did. But over the years, something had changed. It wasn't one big thing that drove a wedge between them. It was 100 little things, moments where they passed each other like strangers in their own home. Conversations became routine. Affection turned into habit rather than passion. The spark they once had faded into something comfortable but distant. Lauren told herself that all marriages went through phases like this. She convinced herself that they would find their way back to each other. But then there was Ryan. Ryan had been Ethan's best friend for as long as Lauren had known him. He was at their wedding, part of every holiday gathering, and always around for Sunday football nights. Unlike Ethan, who was steady and predictable, Ryan was impulsive and free-spirited. He had a way of making people laugh, of turning even the dullest moments into something exciting. Lauren never thought of him as anything more than a friend, until she did. It started subtly. A lingering glance. A conversation that felt just a little too personal. A joke that made her blush. She told herself it was nothing, just harmless flirting, but deep down, she knew better. The moment it crossed the line, there was no going back. Ethan had a work conference that weekend, one he had been talking about for weeks. He left early Saturday morning, kissing Lauren on the forehead before grabbing his suitcase. "I'll call you tonight," he said, his voice full of the same warmth she had once felt every time he spoke. She watched him go, her chest tight with something she couldn't quite name. Guilt? Doubt? Maybe both. She should have spent the weekend catching up on her favorite shows, reading, or going out with friends. Instead, she texted Ryan. It wasn't planned. At least, that's what she told herself. But when he showed up at the door that evening, it felt inevitable. Lauren invited him in, her heart pounding. They sat in the living room, drinking wine, talking about everything and nothing. The air between them was charged in a way it had never been before. And then it happened. A touch that lingered too long. A kiss that neither of them stopped. It was reckless. It was wrong. But in that moment, none of it mattered. She wanted to feel something again. To be wanted. To forget about everything else. The world outside disappeared. Until the front door opened. The sound was unmistakable. The jingle of keys. The creak of the door swinging open. Lauren froze, her breath catching in her throat. Ryan pulled away just as Ethan stepped inside. Ethan wasn't supposed to be home. He wasn't supposed to be standing in their doorway, his expression a mixture of confusion and slow-dawning horror. But he was. The silence that followed was unbearable. Ryan stepped back, his face pale. Lauren couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Ethan's eyes met hers, and for a split second, she saw something break inside him. His shoulders tensed, his jaw clenched. She opened her mouth to say something. Anything. But what words could fix this? Ethan didn't yell. He didn't ask questions. He just turned around and walked out. The door slammed shut behind him, the sound cutting through the thick air like a blade. Lauren felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. She ran to the door, stepping onto the porch just in time to see Ethan's truck speeding down the street. Ryan muttered something, but she barely heard him. She pulled her arms around herself, shivering despite the warm night air. What had she done? Ryan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. Whatever this was, whatever mistake they had made, it wasn't worth the man she had just lost. The weight of it crashed down on her, suffocating. Ethan might never come back. And the worst part? She wasn't sure if she deserved him to.